What's up, everyone? Happy Friday. Welcome back to the Friday Live with Lauren show. I am Lauren, and today you get Lauren squared. I have another Lauren joining me. People, has that ever happened? I don't know. I don't think I've ever had another Lauren on the show, but you can never have too many Laurens. So, y'all, one, how are you? Happy Friday. It is Good Friday. I hope some of you are off work and joining me from home. Comment, let us know, where are you? Where are you joining us from? I don't know. You're here. If you don't comment and tell me. And then also, please, please, please be nice, be nice, be nice. Share the show. LinkedIn does not tell you all that we were live. Did you get a notification? Let me know. Share the show. Let some people know that we are live and comment where you are joining us from. And then without further ado, I'm going to bring on, and you actually have two Lauren S's. How funny. It's Lauren Smith.
Hello, happy to be here.
What's up, Lauren? How are you?
I am doing excellently. It is finally gorgeous weather out. So I think, after this wonderful end to my Friday, I'm going to cap it a little early and enjoy it.
Yes, it is so beautiful. Okay, so I'm asking everybody where they're joining us from, but where are you joining us from?
I am joining you from the New York area, but as a relatively new Hoboken resident, I moved across the river just a few weeks ago.
There we go, Hoboken. I am in South Florida. I'm in Boca filming today. We have California in the house. Woo, woo. Emo's in that Grand Prize Sendoso drawing today. We love you too, Olivia. Thanks for tuning in. Happy Friday, Chris. Happy
Ooh,
Good Friday, Derek. We got Nashville in the house
Nashville.
today. We got people all over the place. I know earlier today when I was coming in and getting all of this ready, StreamYard was having some issues with Facebook. So if you are watching us on LinkedIn and you're having any issues today, you cannot go to Facebook, but we are live on YouTube as well. So you could go to YouTube and catch the show if LinkedIn gives us any streaming issues, because y'all know how LinkedIn be. Let's be honest. And let me also give a quick shout out to our official gifting sponsor, Sendoso. We have a pretty amazing gift going on this month. It is a $200 gifting experience. And Lauren, I got 8 people who are in this drawing
Ooh.
today. Look at this. We got Tom, Malachi, Derek, Aaron, Emo, Chris, and Lisa. So at the end of the show, we're going to draw and see which one of these lucky people will win a $200 gifting experience courtesy of Sendoso people. So thanks, Sendoso, for that. And big shout out to Better Leap. What's up, everybody over at Better Leap? They were just at Transform last week. Did you guys go to Transform? Is there anybody in the comments who went to Transform? Let me know. Were you there, Lauren? Did you go?
I was not, unfortunately. I heard it was an amazing time. I was sad we couldn't make it out.
I heard it was awesome too. We got St. Pete, Florida in the house. Oh, somebody's on Facebook. Facebook might be working.
Ooh.
What's up, Daniela? Aloha. Hawaii is in the house. It might be the furthest person away in the moment, at least the furthest person who's telling us. But without further ado, can I get like a who is Lauren Smith intro going?
You can. This should not be the hardest question of the hour, right? But anyways, Lauren Smith, I am a consummate generalist. I learned after many years to say jack of all trades, master of some instead of master of none. And I think I've really brought that to my personal and professional life throughout my career. I was definitely one of those kids who was doing every single activity, every single sport. My schedule was chock full. To be clear, I wasn't actually good at any of them, but I wanted to try all of them. And I think I've brought that to my career as well. After college, having really no idea what I wanted to do, I did what I refer to as the liberal arts of the business world, and I went into consulting for a while. Did management consulting for about 3 years and really enjoyed my time there and got to build a pretty significant toolkit across everything from analytics to communication to analysis to presentation building, etc. And took that and wanted to move in-house and specifically into technology. I'd been living in the Bay Area, but not specifically working in tech. And I ended up with a New York City darling, Foursquare. I wonder if we've got any Foursquare users on the call today, any former mayors out there. But ended up joining in a really fortunate position as sort of a right-hand strategy and analysis person to the then COO, and grew my career from there, ultimately becoming head of strategy and corporate development for the global business and getting to see it through lots and lots of periods of exciting change, from pivoting from its consumer app roots to being a B2B company, to developing an inorganic growth muscle across multiple acquisitions, lots of learning, lots of new opportunities, etc. After Foursquare, I did a brief stint at a phenomenal early stage company in the talent acquisition space. I hope a number of people here know the company Bright Hire. They're great. But spending my time there really convinced me that I had the founder bug for myself. And so about a year and a half ago, I jumped ship and decided to launch my own company, a company called Refer. And we're a referral marketplace that help companies take their traditional internal referral programs and extend it to any external network of their choosing.
We love a good referral. I love people who, like, anybody I ever talked to is like, they were in the Bay Area, but I wasn't in tech. And then they got into, like, everybody who's not in tech in the Bay Area wants to get in tech. When I was
There's so much
in,
FOMO. Oh my God.
when I was in SF, my Uber driver was in tech. And he was like, "Oh yeah, I do this." Da, da, da. And he was like, "I came to SF to get in tech, and I do Uber to afford living."
Yeah, app developer on the side, building the projects, etc. No, it is absolutely true. There's so much going on there. But more and more, I mean, I think you're finding that no matter what city you're in now, tech is everywhere. I mean, Silicon Valley's presence and huge. I know that more and more companies are building technology footprints in Nashville for the person on the for the person on the call. I mean, it's really quite inescapable at this point.
It really is. And it's just booming and it's getting bigger. I went to a networking event Wednesday night in South Florida. Shout out to Liz and everybody I met there. But it was just such an amazing event. And there really are events everywhere and networking opportunities everywhere. So that's one thing I want to point out. If you are watching today, there's an event near you. You could probably go see someone if you really wanted to put forth the effort. And I know some of you are going to tell me you live 3 hours away from the closest remote person because, like, you're the outlier human being on that. And, like, no, that doesn't count. No, that's not who I'm talking about. I'm talking to everybody who lives within driving distance of people, like, close by, who can go to a big city and see people. So don't come at me in the comments if you live 5 hours away from civilization and you can't see people. You chose to live there. Okay, sorry. That's my rant of the day. Let's talk about everything we are going to talk about on the show, so we can tell you all of the things and you can decide if it's worth it for you to be here. You know it's worth it for you to be here. We're going to start with leveraging your network for career advancement. If you are a job seeker on this call, even if you're currently employed and you really want to just advance what you're doing and take that next step, we're going to talk about all the ways you can do that right now. We're going to talk about mentorship in career growth and entrepreneurship. So when you are in a corporate role and you're looking for that mentor, how do you find that person? We'll talk about that. But when you're an entrepreneur and you're going out on your own, that's a whole different ballgame. So we're going to kind of talk about the differences and what you need to do for both to find the right mentor. We're going to talk about some innovation in your job searching because you are probably doing the same shit you've been doing forever. Sorry, not sorry. You got to change it up if you want different results. Let's go over all of that for you. We're going to talk about from employee to founder, making the leap. Both of us, we're employees. We are both founders in our own rights. We have very different things going on. So we'll talk to you all about that. And then we're going to talk about the early days, building from 0 to 1. It's a really big step. Hopefully we have time to get that far. We threw in an extra topic today, but it's already been 10 minutes. We got to jump into the first topic or we won't have time. Lauren, I'm really going to let you take it away. I want to start with leveraging your network for career advancement. So let's talk to the people who are watching today, maybe somebody who's never leveraged their network before. If this is the first time you're thinking about, okay, Lauren, I do want to leverage my network. Where do you begin? How does it not feel transactional? How do you do this?
No, it's a great question, and I think networking feels scary to a lot of people, particularly if they've never done it before, because you have a certain image of networking. And it is, Lauren, what you were just encouraging everyone to do. But they can be these big anonymous meetups where you're wearing a name tag and you don't know anyone and you feel very awkward and uncomfortable, etc. And it is true that is one kind of networking. It's an important kind of networking that has a lot of benefits, but it's very, very far from being the only way that you can network or the way that you should think about networking, to be honest. To me, that's kind of the all stars version of networking if you're going that extra mile. And so I think the most important step of first starting to leverage your network is honestly just by identifying who those people are. And that may sound obvious, but I hear so many people who come and tell me, I don't have a network. I don't know where to get started. Well, you do have a network. Everybody has a network. The people you've had professional interactions with at points in the past, whether they're your teammates, your managers, users that you've had conversation with, customers, etc. You do have a network, and you don't need a lot of people in your Rolodex in order to have a good impact. If I think about my network, when I think about the inner circle of my network, I'm probably thinking about the 4 to 5 people that are going to be the ones to would be the ones to act as my reference calls if I were, that level tier, sort of like similar to a friendship where you've got an inner circle. And so I think your first step is really identifying who those couple of people are going to be, where you have the opening to build a relationship and where what they can provide to you based on what you need is going to be significant. And we'll talk about that in a second. But the reason I recommend getting started there is it breaks it from this big, scary, I'm not going to enough events, I'm not spending enough time in digital communities, I'm not putting myself out there, to who are the couple of people that are in my wheelhouse that I already have relationships with that I can begin to nurture and deepen my relationship with. And Tom is calling it out right now perfectly. Talking to a parent on the sidelines of a kiddie soccer game is networking. Every single micro interaction we have, honestly, in some ways is networking. And you should be thinking about the impression you're giving off in all of those interactions and the kind of taste you're leaving with people. But I think the number one point of getting started is identifying that small handful of people who can really provide a lot of benefit to you. And we can talk about what kind of benefit that might be.
100%. It's also, in my opinion, not just thinking about the benefit that they could provide for you, but what could you do for them, right? Like, try to be a giver
Absolutely.
first and recognize in some situations that sometimes this person might not be able to benefit you immediately. Sometimes this is just a relationship that sometimes I just have a feeling. I'm like, you know what? I just
Yeah.
know that this is a relationship I need to nurture. I get the tingles on the back of my neck. I can just feel it. Right now, it might not be the thing, but I can feel that I need to nurture it. And in those instances, I really do try to be a giver as much and as often as possible, so that when the moment comes around and that those tingles were right and that thing happens, and I'm like, oh, could I have this referral, or could I do this, or whatever? We've been building this relationship for so long and we've been nurturing it and working on it. And it was just that important to me for so long that that ask doesn't feel like an ask. And I think that that's the key of leveraging your network. You have to be so supportive to your network. Riley Blaisdell is one of the best people at this on LinkedIn, in my opinion. If you're watching, if you could tag Riley, I'd appreciate it. But Riley Blaisdell is incredible. But you give and you give and you give, and there's no, I need it back. And almost the people will come to you and be like, hey, I thought of you and I think I could do this for you. And would that be helpful
Yeah.
for you? That's leveraging your network. And you can do
That
that
is
for career advancement.
And that is absolutely true. I think one of the biggest challenges is a lot of times people actively are thinking about networking for the first time when they're in a position where they need something, when they're in a position where they're between jobs and they need support. And honestly, approaching networking from that vantage is so much more daunting and so much more challenging because you're in a pressure filled situation. Whereas networking should be one of these things that is always on. If you work in sales, if you work in recruiting, you might already be very familiar with it, but you should be using networking to uplevel your career all the time. You can make connections because you know a salesperson at this company and someone who's in need of a great new technology. Your company is considering adopting something new, and you've got a friend you can talk to who may know know something about it. Your company's looking to get into a new market and you can leverage it. It really upscales everything that you're doing when you're bringing in the strength of your network to your day-to-day work and responsibility, and being an active participant, nurturing your network in the same way that you nurture friendships, to be honest. They're not that different.
And you're right when you say, especially if you're in recruiting, that it's always on and you're always thinking about networking in this sense. Like, you almost can't turn it off. Some of my friends get annoyed when they go out with me, because I also am a very social butterfly anyway. I like to eavesdrop and listen to people. Sorry, not sorry. If you're sitting across from me at the bar, I'm listening to your whole conversation. But I like to pay attention to what's going on around me and eavesdrop. And I've literally seen, like, at a happy hour, a company, they're all in like their little logoed polos, right? I've seen like 5 or 6 people all, I'm like, oh, this is a work dinner. Oh, maybe I could recruit for them. Oh, what do they do? Do I need to poach this talent? Like, I'm like Googling the logo on my phone. I'm trying to figure it out, reverse image searching, looking on their like corporate page or any of these people, somebody I could talk to. Like, don't turn it off. And I like to leverage any situation I'm in to turn it into networking, is where I'm going with this, is
Yeah.
because you can make random conversation with people, just like Tom said a few minutes ago. Talking to a parent on the sidelines of a kiddie soccer game is networking. Seeing a random person and saying, hey, I know that logo, do you work for such and such company, could start a great conversation with someone. And
Yep.
boom, now you're like, I don't even need a commonality with you. The fact that I know the logo on your shirt just opened that door for me. But yeah, Tom, I'd love to know if you ever had any deals come from talking to a parent on the sideline of a kid's soccer game. That would be really, really interesting. Really quick, what's up, Kelly? This is my sister, y'all. And in that photo with her is my nephew, Austin. He just deployed. He's going overseas for a year. I did not get to see him before he left. I'm a little bit sad about that. But hi, Kelly. Kelly's the only one who's allowed to call me Lo. None of you are allowed to call me Lo. Sorry. Sorry. It's only my sister. Yes, Tom, preach. Same. I overheard someone say they were an extrovert at dinner yesterday, and I introduced myself on the way out. Yes, Michelle. I love making conversation with women that I bump into in the bathroom. I do that all the time.
Amazing.
Okay, Michelle said, get ahead of the game, get your high five in for next week. Yes, y'all, new link for April. The high fives, we have a bunch to do today when Michelle jumps on at half, but get your high five in for next week. Love you too, Michelle. I forgot to tell you all something. Lauren, the amazing Lauren right here, this Lauren, she is going to give away a mentoring session today. So I'm going to put it on the bottom. Comment. It's going to be just hashtag her name, Lauren Smith, all one word. And you'll be entered into a drawing to win a virtual mentoring session with Lauren. Okay. The giveaway is not endorsed, sponsored by, or associated with, like, all those fun things. So read the disclaimer at the bottom. Hashtag Lauren Smith. If you would like to win a session with Lauren, we're going to get talking about the mentorship and career growth and entrepreneurship journey. I think that this is really where you would learn why you would want to comment Lauren's name and have a session with her, because she's so knowledgeable. But Lauren, when it comes to mentorship and career growth and entrepreneurship, I want to let's start with entrepreneurship and do it a little bit backwards. But
Yep.
where you're at right now, and you're looking back at the last year and a half, was a mentor a big part of that year and a half journey for you? And if so, can you kind of explain that relationship and how you found it?
I would say that not one mentor, but that many mentors could together have been phenomenal resources to me over the last year and a half. There are a handful of them, sort of similar to what I was saying about my inner circle, that are past founders themselves who I rely on frequently in order to act as mentors. Let me take a step back for a second and let me talk a little bit why I find mentors so valuable, because they've been such a core part of my career, and I've been so fortunate to find champions throughout the years at each of the organizations that I've been a part of. But I think at their core, when you develop a mentor relation, you're of course getting so many of the tangible benefits of their experience, having done it before, bringing a different perspective to what you're doing, but you're also getting this incredible emotional support and confidence that comes from somebody you respect and admire, demonstrating that you have value and that they're willing to put their time against you. And then practically, they can also help you do things on the low end from actually hold you accountable to some of the, development opportunities that you say that they're going to go after. But they also open up so many rich opportunities that wouldn't have otherwise been accessible to you, whether those are learning opportunities, actual role opportunities, etc. And over the last year and a half, I've been really fortunate to learn from a number of different current and past founders who have been very willing to open up the part of the part of themselves to that journey. I think that's one of the things that has surprised me the most about becoming a founder is how willing founders are to open themselves up to other founders to share their experiences and learnings because it is part of that process. Everybody went to everyone they knew for advice when they were first getting started. Thankfully, in a lot of cases, you receive it with high willingness, and then you're willing to pass it along. In my case in particular, I was really fortunate that coming out of my experience at Foursquare, there were several different past founders that I'd been fortunate to work with. There was the founder of Foursquare himself, but then I also worked under 3 other CEOs, two of whom were former founders as well. So me personally, the starting days of that were people that I had found through my past job. But since then, the broader set of mentors, advisors, advice given from other founders has been either from founder focused events where I'm meeting those people, striking up conversations and building relationships based on shared interest in what we're working on, not a necessary, as you say, what can I get from you, as well as introductions that my investors have been able to make for me. And that's a really core part of what investors should be doing for early stage founders is making introductions to people who are going to be able to provide advice, guidance, customers, etc.
If it's not coming from an introduction, how do you recommend that people make the ask for someone to have this type of relationship?
Yeah, I think that the best way to make the ask is to be specific about it, to be a little bit dogged about it, and to be emotionally okay with hearing the answer no. Because if you're reaching out cold to somebody that you don't know, asking for their time, it's wonderful if they give it to you, but it's not a bad thing and it's not a negative reflection on either you or them if they don't. But if you don't make the ask, you're never going to get the chance. What I encourage is one, learn about them and show that you're learning about them before you make the ask. If you've actually identified them as one of a handful of people that could be valuable to you, it's probably because you've engaged with their content online, or perhaps you're really fascinated by what they're building, or perhaps you've seen them interact in a digital community they're part of. Engage with them. Show yourself to be interested, show yourself to be part of the dialogue, etc., before making the ask. And then when you make the ask, be specific about what you're asking for and why you're asking from them. That's my top advice for it.
I like the last line, and I think people will miss the last line, but the why you're asking from them. People want to
Yes.
understand why you want their knowledge, what you want to learn from them specifically. Like, why do you need to learn this from me? And then also remember, people, like, time is the biggest gift someone can give you, is their time. Like, I don't care. People can make more money, but you can't get their time back. And when somebody like Lauren or anybody who joins me for an hour on this show, I don't pay people to come on the show with me. I just simply ask nicely and say, will you come on the show? And I might send you a Grove cookie. Thanks, Grove Cookie Company. But when you come on this show and when you're doing these things, this is almost mentoring. This is mentoring for my network, right? For anybody who shows up to watch this show. Why did I take a bite of cookie right then? For anybody who shows up to watch this show, to learn, to laugh with us, to try to level up their career, that is a form of mentorship. And I understand that I have relationships with a number of people who will come on this show and help teach and educate and level up all of the people in my community. And that's one of the reasons why I do this show, y'all, is so that you can learn from people that you wouldn't typically get the opportunity to learn from. And the people who come on this show aren't giving me an hour every week to help me go over my founder's journey, right? These are small topics for this. There are specific people who I sit with who I've learned a lot from, who've been very open with me. People who are a little bit further on their journey. And this is one of the things, if you're an entrepreneur, how Lauren said you need to have more than one mentor. I would double down on that, but I would also say You need to have mentors at different moments of their journey. So you don't need a bunch of people who are at the end and successful. Like, you need somebody who's a year or two ahead of you. You need somebody who's 3 or 4 years ahead of you. You need to be able to see that progression and learn from different stages of different people. So seek that out too when you're looking for mentors as an entrepreneur. I think that's super important. Lauren, you had a really, really successful corporate career before you went off on your own. If somebody is in a corporate job today and they work for a corporation and they're like, Lauren, I need to level up. I need to do something. What's the best route for them? What advice would you give them?
I think the best advice I would give is to be thoughtful about what you're looking for from a mentor at this stage of your career. Are you looking for advice on how to shift beyond your current skill set? Are you looking for advice on how to become more comfortable managing people? Are you looking for advice on how to accelerate your career within the organization, et cetera? But by having a better sense of what your goals are going to be from a mentor-mentee relationship, it will obviously give you a much better sense of who in the organization is going to be a really effective mentor for you. And you might find, similar to what Lauren was just saying about needing mentors at different stages of their journey, you also might need mentors who are filling different roles in their mentorship journey for you. So for instance, some of my very best mentors are, what am I trying to say here? I hate when I do this, when I suddenly get behind it. For some of my mentors, it's very important to me to have mentors who are senior women in tech, who can help me navigate what it is to be a female leader in an environment that is underrepresented of women in that network. But many of my mentors are not women. I have mentors specifically around management styles and how to help me become a better manager. I have other managers who are phenomenal public speakers and who help me get over these awkward moments and push right through them, etc. But understanding what you're looking for from a mentor is the first step to finding that person within the organization. And once you've identified those person, I'd say one, nowhere near enough people take advantage of the opportunities that are given to them to connect with senior talent within their organization. I remember we used to do this thing at Foursquare that were called exec team office hours, where every Friday we would sit in the lunch and anybody could come and sign up for 15-minute office hours with any of the executives to talk about whatever they wanted. And it always broke my heart that they were so poorly attended. Now, of course, I think about what we could have done to make them. But if you're given opportunities like those, if you're given lunch and learns hosted by an executive, um, if you're given opportunities to do things with the company outside of day-to-day work, whether that's a yoga class, a trivia night, whatever, take those opportunities to build those relationships and meet more people, etc. But absent of those, you're going to have to make them yourself. And it's the exact same way that you reached out to be a mentor to someone outside of your organization. Go to the person that you're interested in, explain why you're interested in learning from them, explain what you're looking to get out of it, and go from there. I assure you, if it's within your organization and you're just asking for a conversation, which should be the starting point for most of these, 95% of the time, they're going to say yes. And so you should be doing it.
And they're probably going to be excited that you asked people.
Yes.
I volunteered at my kids' school the other day. When you said this, like they're poorly attended, I promise this is going to come back around. I volunteered at my kids' school yesterday, actually, and they're talking about you could win to have lunch with the principal. And the kids were like, we don't want to win that. She's scary. Like, y'all, the executives at your company aren't scary. They're people. They want you to advance. They want you to do well. You don't have to be scared to go have these conversations. You don't have to be scared to tell them what your ideas are. Talk to them, tell them, explain to them. Half of the time, people don't know how incredible you are because you don't speak up about the amazing things you could do or the ideas you have. We do that to ourselves a lot. So walk into the room, figure out who you want your mentor to be. Like Lauren said, different people for different things. You're not going to find one person for everything in terms of like a mentor relationship, in my opinion. But I used to always find somebody who wasn't maybe the top dog, but pretty close to the top dog. And on like day 3 or 4, I was like, hey. So can I pull you aside and figure out how we could set up some one-on-ones so that I could really learn how to level up and advance my career here? Because I've been here for a week, but I want to be here for a very long time. And I'd like to eventually be sitting where you're at. And that's literally the
Love
conversation I
it.
would have.
Love it.
And people
Hunger.
respect that. People respect that so much. So, okay, with that, we are at the halfway point. I'm going to let Lauren go take a sip of water. I'm going to take a sip of water. We have the best part of the show, High Five Friday, coming up. You're going to get to learn about the accountability group, all of those fun things. Miss Michelle Craig comes on. Who loves Michelle? Can we get some love in the comments for Michelle? Where's it at? Where's it at? Where's it at? All right, Lauren, I will see you in just a moment. Everybody hang out and let's see who got a high five today. Be right back.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to High Five Friday, which is definitely the highlight of my week and hopefully a high point for you as well. We have some awesome people to celebrate today, so let's jump in. Joy, who I think has given high fives 3 or 4 weeks in a row now. So my shout outs for Joy. Joy for Claire. I'm proud to know Claire, a senior university recruiter at New Relic, who stands out for her compassion and selflessness. Beyond her role, she actively collaborates with recruiters beyond New Relic, leveraging her expertise to empower historically marginalized communities and advocate for accessibility education. With a focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion, Claire serves as a talent acquisition professional, DEI strategist, public speaker, and advocate for chronic illness, mental health, neurodivergence, and accessibility awareness. Ashley wants to give a shout out to Hannah Burns Dunham. She is a fierce mama who is fighting hard for female engineers. She doesn't mince words and never backs down. Andrew, who I think has also given us a high five every week for the last couple of weeks. So thank you, Andrew. Shout out to you. For Natalia Becker. Natalia is truly an authentic human. She cares deeply for others, and this is a true reflection of the person she is. Thank you for your kind heart and generosity. We all appreciate you and the amazing things you do. High five and shout outs to you. And then we have Daniela Hanna, which if you don't know is my mama, so go give her a follow. She is going to shout out our dear friend, JD Duggar. He's a powerful speaker when it comes to educating others, working together in teams, persevering obstacles in life like a champion. He trains people mentally to be strong. He supports others and works as a leader in everything he does. And then Sarah Reed for Sam Heisch, I think. Sorry if I butcher your names, y'all. You got to send us the intro there. But Sam goes above and beyond to help those in her network to find new opportunities. She is truly someone who looks out for others and takes every possible opportunity to raise others up. Massive respect for her dedication to building community and caring for others. On top of all of that, she is a kick-ass seller. And then last but not least, Erin wants to give Jason Yarbrough a high five. So thank you, everyone, for the shout outs, for celebrating and contributing to a little positivity here on LinkedIn. Cheers.
Thanks, Michelle. Bye. All right, y'all. Are you there? Are you awake? Are you with us? Did you enjoy the high fives? High five to you for watching the show. Double high five because it's Good Friday. If I had more hands, I would try to do more high fives, but I don't. So double high fives it is. Let me find Lauren. Lauren, are you there? There's Lauren.
I'm still here.
Still here. All right, everyone, welcome back. Don't forget, we have an awesome giveaway from Lauren. So you can comment #Lauren Smith. Lauren is going to give away a virtual mentoring session. If you are an entrepreneur, if you are thinking about it, if you are in your corporate career, you're wanting to leverage your network, figure out how to level up, #Lauren Smith in the comments, and you could win, I don't know what, you're going to do 30 minutes, 45 minutes? With
45 minutes.
We'll do 45 minutes with one of the viewers, and you could have your own session with Lauren, and maybe I'll pop in for the last 15 minutes. and hop on and see what else I could help you both with. And then at the end of the show, we have our grand prize drawing. This one is sponsored by Sendoso. Every month, Sendoso helps me give some amazing gifting experiences to the amazing viewers who watch on the show. So next week, tune in and you could win a very special spicy giveaway. That's all I'm going to tell you is it's spicy. So tune in next week to see the spicy surprise. And then big shout out to Better Leap. If you are a recruiter and you are on this call, you need to check out Better Leap. I have a link on my page. DM me. I would rather actually show it to you because I'm a recruiter who's an influencer, but I actually recruit for a living. So I could pull you in my dashboard and actually show you the projects and the candidates and the things and show you how it works, which is nice to talk to people who actually use the platforms that they talk about. So if you are a recruiter, if you want to check out Better Leap, don't DM me. My DMs are kind of a mess. I lied. Send me an email, lauren@lessonswithlauren.co.com. I would love to help you out and show you that. We have more fun topics. This one is going to be a big one. I think this is going to be the one we maybe talk about the longest time. I know there's a lot of job seekers on, and there's also just a lot of people who maybe they're in their career and they haven't searched for a job in a long time. And they're a little nervous about there's been a lot of innovation in job searching and maybe they don't really know where to begin. So I'm going to switch us. I'm going to make you big. I'd love for you to kind of take us away. Let's talk about both people who are either actively job searching, and then we'll talk about people who are still in their role looking for what's new. But for people who are actively job searching, what's the next piece of innovation? What's the next tip? What's the thing that people need to be leveraging right now?
I wish the answer was only one thing. I wish it was. Unfortunately, job searching is incredibly complex, incredibly hard, and unfortunately, that's the reality. But it means that there are lots of tools out there that job seekers can be leveraging to help them along any part of the job search, whether it's doing a better job finding opportunities, tracking the applications you've already made, practicing your interview skills, expanding your network. There's a huge array of tools out there. It's almost overwhelming, to be honest. It's part of that HR tech landscape. But job searching, I mean, innovation in job searching, I almost chuckled when I first saw that title because I can't tell if job searching is wildly different than it used to be or exactly the same. When you think about it, how did people used to find and get jobs? Well, they either found it through some sort of posting in the newspaper or the like, or they found it through their friends. And at the end of the day, that's largely how we find jobs today. Either we find it listed on one of 1,000 different places, or we're finding it through a connection of some sort. And it's why you hear over and over again that referrals are so important, that many jobs are invisible and that they get filled before it. And so I want to talk about that first part a little bit, the job listing landscape. Daniel, the CEO of Greenhouse, said this a while back, that right now there is a huge technology mismatch between employers and candidates. And I think job boards are the best representation of it. In the last few years, the number of job boards available has absolutely erupted. Technology has come into play so that a recruiter can push their job to 500 different job boards at once, creating these cluttered, outdated, duplicated monsters of a mess for candidates to weave through. I'm sure we've all had this unfortunate difficulty of seeing the same job posted 50 different times in 50 different places. Should we apply in all of them, etc.? But the problem has become really bad for recruiters as well, even though those job boards are now the main way that candidates find available jobs. Those job boards are incentivized to get as many applications through as possible and to make applying as easy as possible, which has created this sea of garbage applications for recruiters to weed through, where even qualified candidates have trouble standing out because the pipeline is so diluted. And so when it comes to innovation in job searching, and we should talk more about this, but I want to hand it back for a second. My number one piece of advice for any job seeker out there is to use job boards to find jobs and to apply literally any other way, including directly through the careers page. It's almost a 30x higher yield when you apply through the careers page versus if you apply through one of many of the major job boards.
That's one of the top tips I give people. You can apply on a job board, go for it. But a job board is a paid service. It's paid. Okay. So you might not be paying to use the job board, but in some way, shape, or form, they are getting paid. They're incentivized to post more jobs, to get more applicants. If you go to a company's website, they're typically not paying to market you to get you to their careers page in that same way, unless people are going to actually take the time
Love this.
to do the extra clicking, right? Like 4 or 5 more click steps to go apply on the careers page. But I will tell you, because I was internal and I hired a number of people internally, when my phone went off from Lever, which was what we used when I had new applicants moving through Lever, that notification was so important to me because those people came to my company website. They want to work for my company. They didn't find this on a job board. Maybe they did, but they took the time to probably research the company, probably review some of the pages, probably look through more than one job. They're on our company page. They created an account. They are invested already so much more than, like Lauren said, there really is a sea of unqualified applicants that makes it incredibly hard to get to the qualified applicants. I was talking to Dan from Apollo, and he was telling me that his team is working incredibly hard to review every single application for every single role, which I think is admirable. But when people like Lauren and I know the reality behind that and how many applications are coming through that are not qualified whatsoever, how much time is being wasted in this, right? Here we go, Tom. Here we go, Tom. Black hole, right? So there has to be some type of innovation. And what I said to Dan was, I agree, you need to look at every resume, but I would say look at every resume that comes into your company page first. Those are the ones I would be reviewing first, and then I'd cast my net out, because people who really right now, and I'm sorry if you're watching and you get a little bit upset with me, but this is true. If you are not willing to do the extra work to get noticed in the pile, you won't get the job. It is a haystack. You are a needle. How are you shining in the sun to be noticed in that haystack? How are they going to find you? You have to take it upon yourself to be found. And it's so simple. Laura and I are telling you to apply on the company page. And how many of you are just going to keep going back to click an easy apply this afternoon because you don't listen?
Oh, it's amazing what a difference it can make. But I love what you're saying of you have to do the extra work to stand out. The reality is that as long as mass supply exists, you've got to assume that any job that you're able to find online is going to have 1,000 applicants, and that you've got to find some other way to stand out. I know there's a lot of debate over whether or not you should send an email to the hiring manager or the recruiter, et cetera. My advice is always to do it because I don't see the downside. I think increasingly as more and more people take on that strategy, like anything else, it becomes spam for the recruiter, et cetera. And so you might find more often you're not going to get a response. But if that's the worst downside, and 1 out of 10 times it helps you get a conversation than you wouldn't otherwise have gotten, why not do it? And I think that's actually, Lauren, a theme of a lot of what we've been talking about today, whether it's in expanding your network and leveraging your network, or it's in identifying mentors and going after them, et cetera. We all have this like deep fear that people aren't going to respond to us and aren't going to say no to us. And if that's really the worst thing that happens, what are we so afraid of before doing that?
And I want to point out to you, if you get a no back, like if you're reaching out to someone and you want to work for their company or whatever, blah, 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 and they come back to you and they're rude, you just dodged a bullet. Like, oh my God, what if they say no? Oh my God, what if they're mean? Well, then you don't want to work for them. I was doing cold outreach the other day, and I did some cold outreach for recruiting, and it was like, hey, I found this job. I think I have a candidate. And the person essentially wrote me back, and they were like, yeah, I don't think you know what you're talking about. And unless you do, I don't want to put forth any effort or anything. And it was just like such a response that I was like, I wouldn't want to send you my candidate right now, even if you offered to pay me double my fee. Like, I will go help him find something somewhere else because you are just not a great human being. Like, you got to be nice in all instances and to everyone. And if somebody replies to you and they're not nice, or if somebody just ignores you, one, they're probably not thinking about you as much as you're thinking about you, right? I give that advice a lot. If somebody ignores you, They're probably just distracted in their own world if they ignored you. But if they're rude to you, that's a reflection of some of their internal shit. And you need to just know that you don't need to be involved in that anyway, because you're probably trying to get out of some shit. You don't want to walk right back into some more. Yes, Michelle, girl, I know. Yes, Clarence, it is real talk. If you come on the show, if you watch the show, we're going to give you some real talk. I tell people you might get your feelings hurt, but it is true. Thanks, Michelle. Don't forget to tag Lauren Smith to be entered to win virtual mentoring. Michelle said, I've had people who are really rude, dismissive towards me come back later for help and advice. As a recruiter, I think I have probably 5 people a week who reach out to me who want help, and they're like, hey, Lauren, it's been a long time. And I go back and I look at the message and I'm like, oh, you mean from the message I sent you a year and a half ago that you never responded to or acknowledged? Yeah, it's been a long time. You can't start with it's been a long time if you never acknowledged me to begin with.
Lauren, one question I have for you. I mean, one piece of advice for networking and how to make sure you're doing it all the time is that you should be talking to recruiters when you're not actively looking for a job. Oh my God, you get that outreach from someone like you that you're interested. And maybe you're happy that with your current role, but there's rarely a downside to taking that conversation, to practicing your interview skills, learning what else is out there, and adding another person to your network. I just want to make sure on the part of the recruiter, is there a downside for you when candidates are doing that?
There is not a downside at all. I think that a lot of candidates aren't specific. And this is the advice. And I will write back to some candidates if I have the time, but I just get too many in-mails. Sorry, everybody. I don't respond to my in-mails. I'm very open about that. If you want to respond, send me an email. I will get back to you that way. But I just think that people are not specific in the ask, right? Like it's kind of the advice you gave for mentors earlier and understanding why you're asking that person for the thing you're asking for. People and not everyone, but for the most part, this is what I've seen. This has been my experience. A lot of candidates are not specific about, I call it the who, what, when, where, and why, right? Like I need to know the who, what, when, where, and why of why I need to have this conversation with you. And I need you to almost tie it up in a really pretty bow for me because I have my own business. I have this show. I run the accountability group. I have a 6-year-old who plays for sport. Like y'all, the list goes on. There's a lot of stuff. So I had a candidate the other day, they messaged me and they were like, hey, Lauren, I think it'd be a great fit for one of your roles. I'd love it if you keep me in mind. I'm like, well, would you be a good fit or do you want me to keep you in mind? And y'all know recruiter is going to keep you in mind. We have too many people reaching out. You need to follow up. You need to be active, review their roles, engage in their content, like follow up with them, be somebody that they recognize. Okay. Like Aaron Delaney is looking for work. He shows up on the show all the time. I know Aaron. I know what he's looking for. If I found a job tomorrow that fit Aaron, I would send it to him because he shows up consistently and he's a supporter of mine and I know who he is. So I keep him in mind in that way. But if you've never met me and we've never interacted and you DM me and say, hey, Lauren, can you keep me in mind? I'm probably not going to keep you in mind. If I'm being very transparent with you, I get 500 people who ask me that a week. That's not possible. So if you're going to reach out to a recruiter, if you're going to reach out to a hiring manager, do it correctly, have the right intention, know what you want to say. Are you just in general interested in the company? Do you hope one day there's going to be a role? Like, what is it you're trying to get out of it? And if they have a job and you are the one for the job, this is my big advice if you're watching and you're a job seeker, find the bullet points from the job description, typically the first 3 to 4. Rewrite those bullet points into how you can do that job or that thing. Tie it in a bow, send it back to the recruiter. I was reviewing this job. The first 3 or 4 bullet points asked for this. This is how I could accomplish these things. Here is my resume. I would love to chat. My general availability is this. If you told me how you do the job, here's my resume and my availability, you literally tied it up with a little pretty bow and made it beautiful and said, here you go. So that's my advice. If you're going to do it, don't waste your time.
Absolutely, absolutely agree with that. Should we talk a little bit about some of the technology that people might be coming across in their job search these days?
I love Chris. Yes, there's so much real talk here. Yes, we do. We have to get into, we have the next topic. We have so much more to talk about. We have to talk a little bit about this one though. We're not going to do that. We're not going to have time. We're 2 topics behind. I mean, it's a good show, so I'm not mad at it. I always say anybody who we don't ever get to all the topics just has to come back. So, but I do want to talk about this because I know there's people in my network. I've had some DMs from people recently who are like, Lauren, I really do think it's the time for me to make this leap. And I do think it's the time for me to go out on my own. I want to know, what does it look like? What was your experience? And I know that my experience is a little bit unique. I know that your experience is unique. Everybody has a different story. But can you kind of talk to us about your story when you decided to make that leap from employee to founder? What was the thing that helped you make the decision? How did you get started? Was there any hiccups unexpectedly? Give us a little rundown.
There were no hiccups. There hasn't been a single hiccup. How could that? Nah. There have been many. Absolutely. I think that if you are someone who's likely to become a founder, it probably is because you've always had this sort of itch in the back of your brain that you want to do it. And it might be that you've got an idea that you've always had that you just think really has to exist. Or it might just be that you've got this entrepreneurial streak within you and the challenge of it, the opportunity behind it is really exciting. But you sort of know if that's you and if you have that feeling and it won't go away. And I do hope that at some point in their careers, people who have that current feeling are able to take that time and take that risk to really explore it. And when you're first starting out on that, I'd say for me, what was really important was knowing my risk tolerance. Because at the end of the day, you're probably going to fail when you start your venture. Like, that's the case. Most of us are going to fail. That's the way the numbers work, unfortunately. And even if you don't fail, it's going to be painful for a very long time. You are going to fail at a lot of small things along the way. You are going to feel like an imposter. You are going to make mistakes because everyone does and you can't possibly. And you need to know your own risk tolerance in sort of all the core areas of life, your emotional well-being, your financial security, your career trajectory to date, and what it means to take a step out to go be a founder, etc. And know that with all of the pitfalls of things that could go wrong, it is still there for you and it is still waking you up and you're going into it with that mindset. And I'll be honest, it's an incredibly privileged position in order to be able to go do that. In a lot of cases, people saying, hey, I'm going to step away from my career salary making, six figures, et cetera, and go be a founder for a while making no money. It is an incredibly privileged position. And I think as you embark on the journey, knowing your appetite for that and your willingness to deal with the fallout is important. And in some cases, having a timeline in your head for that. Hey, I've got the next 18 months for me to really go put my head against it. And I think having that timeline related to your risk tolerance is important so that you can at least start planning out the journey. It's going to become disruptive from the second that you start on it. And what you said at the beginning is going to be wildly different, but it helps to build some structure. And then the next major piece that founders have so much optionality on right now is how you want to start your company, given that. I think it's really interesting the different paths that are out there right now to founders. Obviously, Lauren, you and I run very different businesses, and I'm sure the genesis of ours is very different. Do you want to take startup capital or not? Do you want to go through an accelerator or an incubator, et cetera, or not? For me, in my founder journey in particular, I launched my company with a venture studio. I was one of those founders who had the itch, knew I wanted to do something, but unfortunately didn't have that great idea that I've always wanted to work on. The idea for my company actually came from my co-founder and CTO, Mike Montero. But what a venture studio was able to provide for me as a first-time founder was resources to get the company off the ground, access to a massive team of mentors, and experienced practitioners who could support me on this journey, and introductions to investors. So for me, where I was in my journey, the venture studio was a very attractive route. If I had a really strong technical co-founder, if I had experience launching a company in the past, maybe my approach would have been quite different. And so spending time figuring out what's going to be the right early day approach to your business is very unique to you as a founder and the business that you want to run.
Yeah, y'all, I think understanding that you probably will fail is
Yeah.
so important, and it's okay. It's normal. I've started two companies before that don't exist anymore. Like it's okay to fail. And like Lauren said, my journey is so different from Lauren's journey. The first 2 companies that I started, I invested money into them right away. I was like, we need this and we need this one. We probably didn't need half that shit. So when I went off on my own, this time it was like, how lean can we do it? I think I literally like took out $500 from my personal account and opened a business bank account. And I was like, all right, let's get some softwares. Let's see who we can work with for free and get some brand deals going and lean and mean. And y'all, it was like we paid for some insurance, and then I eventually got to rent the podcast room and like the office here. But like it was a very different journey. I didn't go looking for founding. I had one person or funding. Sorry. I had one person who reached out to me early on, and he was like, oh, if you want to do this, we could do this. And I was like, you know what? Like, I kind of want to do it on my own right now because I've kind of gone the route before of taking money from other people. I want to see what I could do. And it was a different journey for me this time, but my past 2 journeys really helped this journey shape into what it's been. And it's been a great ride. And like Lauren said, at the end of the day, you're going to learn so much in this founder's journey and in making that leap to entrepreneurship. You're going to meet so many people and build your network so much that I don't think that there's many negatives that could outweigh the positives of making the leap. So if you are thinking about it, or if it's something you've been curious about, or any of those things, highly recommend you comment #Lauren Smith right now, because Lauren will talk to you about all of this. And especially if you're a female, there's not a ton of females who have been down this route in tech, who understand how do you have these conversations around funding? How do you have these conversations with people in the VC space? Like, you need that mentorship, and you're literally going to get a session with Lauren. So I know we only have a couple minutes left, but I do think it's really incredible what you've done and watching your journey. And it's going to be so fun to continue to watch your journey. And I hope everybody who's watching got to learn a little bit from you today.
Wonderful.
All right, we're going to do, are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Is everybody ready? It's time for the Fun Friday Fact. All right, Lauren Smith, on this Good Friday of the last Friday in March, people.
Woo!
What is your Fun Friday fact?
A lot of times people ask what I studied. You know, people talk about useless majors and they want to know what I studied in order to set up my business career. And the truth is that I largely studied colonial witchcraft and wrote my thesis on it. So happy to talk about that at any point.
I don't think I've ever had anybody on the show who studied that. You are the first. I assume you're the first. Now I feel like I have to go back because maybe 1 or 2 of my guests. Now I'm like, oh, amazing.
I've never met anybody else who studied colonial witchcraft, so
I have one person who I actually think I'm going to ask about this who was on the show.
Okay. Unfortunately, I didn't learn any. Apparently, I didn't learn any spells or hard skills. It was mostly the social history.
And Jackie, y'all, we're about to do the grand prize giveaway. Here we go. Michelle's got somebody. Happy Friday, y'all! All right, we're gonna do the grand prize drawing for the Sendoso giveaway. Which one of these amazing people are going to win? Who do we think it's gonna be? I don't know, but give me 1 second and we will share the screen. Y'all all know I do this myself, so bear with me. Are we ready? Can you see my screen? Can we see it? Can we see it? Yep. On your mark. Get set. Go. I think it's Chris.
Woo!
Chris Jarvis. Woo-hoo! Grand prize winner. Okay, Chris. I will DM you as soon as the show is over. Congratulations. Drum roll. It was you. There we go. That's amazing. All right, everybody. This was so much fun. Lauren, thank you so much. I really appreciate you doing this with me today. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your Good Friday and a wonderful Easter weekend. If you're watching today, you have a good Easter weekend too. And like I always say, if you didn't enjoy it, don't come back. Bye.